guys have beaten above 500 teams several times this season, including tonight. How much does that confirm to you that you can hang with some of the better teams in college basketball?
I just feel like in practice every single day we approach it the same way, no matter who the team is. We always have the same approach. We stay together, play the game that we always been playing since the summer, and I feel like we can compete with anybody in the country, like you said.
Toby, you guys have been kind of uneven, win, lose. How do you kind of get more level, more consistent?
Yeah, I think, what we're doing here is something kind of unprecedented. You bring in 15 new guys. We've only been together since June. So, we're bound to have these ups and downs, but I think we're finally starting to figure it out as a team. We're all about business. Like he said, we're all about our preparation. So, and we're really close as a team off the court as well. So I think it's just going to continue to build, and we're going to find that momentum.
Keyshawn, what do you think of your play down the stretch?
I think it was pretty good. I feel like I've been like a little up and down this year, so I feel like just to see the ball go in like that at the end down the stretch, it felt pretty good, for sure.
Keyshawn, aside from your own confidence boost, how much does this pick the team up, coming back from a late comeback, a late deficit, to just pick one up and salt one away like this?
Oh, a lot. Coach Drew, he told us in practice this week that we knew what it was going to take to win this game. We came up short the last game, so we knew we had to come together and play together this game.
Toby, that was a great performance on the court tonight. When you hit double digits scoring-wise, do you feel like it really surged your adrenaline there?
Yeah, being a shooter, you're always looking to get up the open ones, but you kind of get in the flow of the game. You don't really think about it. I would say, maybe you see the third one go in, it's like, all right, we got something here. But I think we're just so together as a team. It really could be anyone's night. On like Sunday, it might be Key Will, it might be CJ, it might be Lamine. So we're all about the team-oriented thing and business. So.
Toby, besides making those three, did you get a piece of Coyle's three at the end?
I did. Yes, sir.
Obviously, he's a very good three-point shooter too. What were you trying to do how were you able to kind of react on that play and get
Yeah, we were told to top lock his screens and read if necessary, but I was able to trail him out, and being a shooter myself, you know what they're looking for. You kind of know the timing, so it was got lucky enough to get there and get a piece.
Keyshawn, earlier this week you had a second half lead that you lost, and Mount pulled away.
Yeah.
And Coach Giroux talks a lot about reflection and learning. Why was today different after you relinquished that second half?
Exactly that. I think we went into the halftime and we was talking to each other before Coach even came in there, and that's a good thing, having an older team, a team that's together. We already knew we had to do. We knew that we were up in the last game, and we were like, we can't give this up this game, so we just gave it all.
And to add on to that with Toby, the Mount loss obviously was a colder day for you, but now 2 25-point-plus games, last 3 games on your birthday nonetheless. Like the mindset of that, like obviously you're making shots, like it doesn't, even when the shots don't fall, like it looks like it's going to fall. Like, has your mindset changed later this season, or just kind of like getting the reps?
No, I think, being a shooter, it's kind of always next shot mentality. Sometimes if you do miss a lot, you tend to get down on yourself, but as I've gotten older, you kind of just really think about the next shot mentality, and I myself believe every shot's going to go in as well, so it's really just the next shot mentality.
Toby, what's it like being a shooter in an offense that's looking for threes?
Yeah, it's nice. It's very nice. I think we're really figuring out how to get, we call it eyes out. I think we're really figuring out how to, Jerome calls it piercing the paint, eyes out. That's something that we're big on. So, it's definitely nice, to have that freedom to, get them up when they're open and shoot some probably ones that might be considered bad shots. But, it's really nice. I'm happy to be here.
We talked earlier this year about your transition from Division III. Like, I know it was a while ago that you felt that you could play at this level, but each game and each step, is there just a next level for you in terms of your comfort or your belief that you could?
Yeah, like you said, I've always kind of believed I belonged out here, and I think the main thing for me is, a lot of these teams, might have reached out to me when I entered the portal or didn't at all, so it's almost like an added chip on my shoulder when I come into every game because, I'm a little crazy, a little competitive, so I like to think of it as like these guys didn't want me, so it's a little bit of that, and yeah, I think I come from a basketball state, and I've always believed I can play at the highest level, so it's not really a mindset change for me, I would say.
Everybody contributed in one way or another tonight, whether it was CJ with the double-double or Layman with 10 points, or everybody did something. So, how do you feel about the way your teammates contributed?
Yeah, I think that's just what we are. We're a team. I think there's, you know, a lot of programs in the country that can't say that, and I think we can probably say we're a team. You know, like we always say, it could be anyone's night. And like you said, everyone contributed. You know, I want to really shout out CJ, 13 assists. That's high level. So, yeah, like you said, everyone contributes, and I think we'll continue to see that on a day-to-day basis.
You just mentioned CJ with the 13 assists, just one turnover. You guys were able to shoot 50% from the field, nearly 40% from three, and him able to orchestrate the offense to get you some shots. Can you just speak to the importance of having somebody like that and the confidence that instills in the rest of your teammates, knowing that he can get you guys quality looks?
Yeah, for sure. He's my roommate, so I've been talking to him throughout the whole season about how, you know, he can be our field general out there, and really set the table for guys, and he was excellent in that tonight. So, you know, for him to get, you know, that double-double is huge for him, huge for his confidence, and I think he's starting to realize that he can really, really be a special player here at Iona. So.
Toby had 25 points. It seemed like obviously CJ was orchestrating offense. How much does it mean to you for you to be able to step into a moment when you could kind of offset those guys and step up in the late stretch when your team needed it the most?
Yeah, I mean, it just means a lot. I mean, it makes it easier, honestly. When he's knocking down shots, CJ's orchestrating everything. It's kind of like I'm free to just kind of go out there because they're not gonna come off him. CJ's doing what he's doing, so it kind of just made it easier for me. I wouldn't be able to do it without those guys.
Keyshawn, what made Siena's press tough? Was it Doherty at the top of it, or was it something else?
I think it was just preparation. I don't think we prepped for that press well enough. I think that's something that we're gonna regroup and then try to attack that a different way next time.
Anything else?
All right, yeah, I mean, a good game, great. I loved our crowd tonight. I loved our atmosphere. You know, even with the on break and everything, I thought our energy in that building tonight was great for us. A lot of support, a lot of I felt like a lot of positive feedback and a lot of things that went our way that helped us, and the crowd helped us so much. I think for us overall, it was a good step. Obviously, after the Mount St. Mary's game and then just coming back from break and getting back in our rhythm, I thought that was beneficial for us. And another quick turnaround, obviously, as these MAC weekends are, and looking forward for the next one.
Dan, after the letdown Monday night, and then Siena comes back with their press tonight, to come back to stay together and get the win tonight, what does that tell you about how much this group can respond off a bad effort?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think Mount was such a great learning experience for us, and for feeling out this conference. I think a lot of our guys don't necessarily understand what the MAC is all the time, and that's where our grind mentality, our do your job mentality, I think started to take over tonight, which is great, because in the Mount we were kind of searching for answers that were in front of us, but we weren't able to really execute them. So being able to come back and honestly having like a similar game, you know, we kind of had the huddle even, you know, I think it was the 12-minute mark. We had around there, right before the 12-minute mark, we had the lead, and it was like we kind of went over this, fellas. We knew we felt we were going to be a little bit ahead. Here's what's going to happen, and I thought it was great to be able to handle it, have some tough ones that not go our way, and then to be able to withstand it, whatever you want to call it, positively attack it eventually, and then execute. I thought it was great for our group.
Switched up the lineup a little bit. Toby and Aliu getting the start. Aliu gives you 7 and 7, but also plus 12. His efficiency, how much does that change your offense?
Yeah, I think it's great. You know, I think he can screen and get our guards a little loose. You know, Denver and Keyshawn were coming off kind of like an illness from this week, so they didn't get the prep as much as we would like. You know, obviously you guys know our preparation and our details behind that we believe are very elite. So for them to miss that kind of, we call it game day -1 yesterday, and they both missed practice with the illness. So it was hard to trust that rhythm, kind of trust their coming off that to then just having a shoot around and play. We weren't really comfortable with them hopping right in and playing in this level of game. So Aliu was great. Obviously Toby had a great job and a great experience for him. But Aliu, I just think he rapidly improves at a pretty high clip. The more experience, the better for him, and he's playing in a role that we need. It's a necessity for us, and I think he's done a great job.
Coach Jerry McNamara, for the last 20 years, spent his time in Syracuse as a coach under Boeheim and a couple years as a player as well, and then comes over to Siena as a head coach and brings his defensive mindset with him. You know, what does it mean to get a win over such a well-respected coach?
Yeah, it's great. You know, I think Jerry does a great job. I think he's if not the best, one of our best coaches in this league. You know, they're so disciplined, and their effort is obviously through the roof, but they're disciplined in their approach, and you know how you're going to lose if you're going to lose. You know what I mean? You know how you're going to beat them if you can actually execute it and do it. So, I mean, to be able to do that here, especially coming off the game on Monday, and I think the MAC schedule has been testing us a lot already, which is great for us. I think it's great for our guys to understand it, see it, understand the talent in this league and how great it is. And then we're going against, and I think a Siena team that was 2-0 and coming off their break as well. I think it was big for us to feel that, understand that physicality, their effort level, and then succeed throughout.
What do you think of CJ's strike throwing tonight?
Yeah, I thought his strikes were good. I mean, I think that the big thing for me is to be able to set up Toby that way is so elite, because obviously everyone in the world knows that Toby Harris is an elite shooter. So to be able to kind of steal those reps for Toby is big for us, as CJ as a point guard. So I think the other piece too is like he's starting to involve even like Lamine differently, even Cozy differently, and I think that's big for us, because if those passes were off and he was dealing with more balls and strikes, our rhythm and flow would be very disjointed. So he's able to do that for us. We're able to settle the gym a little bit more, and it's been a huge positive for him too.
Follow that up. 13 assists, obviously. You see the growth in him as a facilitator, but only one turnover against that. What can you say about his ball control and how much that's improved?
Yeah, I think it's about the timing of how we're attacking certain sets, certain spacing. The timing of what he's doing is really growing, and obviously we talked about it at length earlier in the year. I haven't seen you guys here in a while, so I missed you guys. But I think the whole thing of like CJ, he was playing on the scout team last year, so he's seeing all these different looks and all these different situations. But now there's obviously consequences to whatever he's doing, both good and bad. And for me, that's where this has been great to see him feel this and understand it, and then the Vermont to not be a part of it and then come back. Like, he's going through a lot right now, which is great. I think that he's handling it well. So that's been big for us to continue that floor game and understand the timing and the spacing for what he's after.
Coach, in your scout, were you concerned about Siena's press? You guys had a tough time with it.
Yeah, I mean, we touch on it, but we're so worried about their half-court defense. And the only reason I think they get to the press is obviously they're down. I don't think that was part of their plan. We'll see when we play up there, and it is what it is. But for me, our prep was really focused on what handlers and what patience we were going to need because they're so elite on the ball and taking threes away. So when the press happened, I think we knew what we were after. We have some solutions in there that it's a little frustrating, but we're just not getting to them. And I think for us, it's good for our staff to go through it as well, myself to go through it as well, to understand, like, you can't assume just all the prep's going to be executed. And I think that's what happened tonight, and I probably assumed a little bit in terms of letting it go for a little bit longer, but there's some solutions we have out there, and we got to keep finding them.
Why Williams down the stretch tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it was just the size and the defense. I think we went a little bit more with a little bit of a real-time decision of what is our elite defensive lineup for where Doty was getting his spots, how Folafak was getting to hit a lot of his different spots and where he was going. Even as much as Coyle with the shooting sets, and then Schultz obviously so talented. So understanding where he was as well, like that was more where it went to. And then we think we found some solutions breaking the press, and then Keyshawn was able to spell CJ down the stretch. But same thing, like it was very fragile. It's a very fragile real-time decision, and we were fortunate that he was able to get to where he could get to in his spots and his spacing sets, and then obviously make some big-time plays.
What did you think of what Doty gave Siena tonight?
Man, great. No, I think he's such an elite effort player, and then the threes, like if he's making those threes off the bounce, he's changing his career. And I think that's a great thing for him, and he's been doing it. He's an improved three-point shooter. I would venture to say he puts in a lot of work, not knowing him, and that's where I think you can believe in that, and you can tell like sophomore year he's starting to believe in himself as a worker, and as where they're continued to go in this conference, you can tell he's believing himself in that type of first team mentality, and probably player of the year mentality as he continues to grow.
Coach, I think this was the third game this season where you out-rebounded the other team. That really mattered in this game.
That's nice. That's a good stat. It's a good stat. I need my analytics team to know that a little bit more. It was good for us. I think when you're dealing with them and you understand how they crash, we tried to play some of their crashers off the floor as best we could, but Doty's one of the better ones anyway. So just understanding where they were, how they were crashing, what their shot profile looked like, I think was good for us. And I think we read the ball correctly for most of the game, which helps us. We call it like CCP. It's like, you check, you cut out, and you pursue the ball. So it's like, I think it helped us in our CCP because we were able to read the ball at a pretty high level, which we call it like hat on a hat, for the rebounds. So I thought that was good.
Yeah, there were a couple of brief turnovers late in the game, score-wise. Did it make you nervous, either the one that Siena might overtake you guys?
I wouldn't say nervous, more like seen this before. How are we positively experiencing this? And that's where I felt we did a good job of that. If we negatively experienced it again, it would have been a loss, and we would have had to, same deal, prepare, execute the same way tomorrow, and kind of dial in and see it on the film and understand it. We talk about it a lot, but this is a new team still. I know we're deep in the season now, almost halfway through, but they're still, I know we're like older, whatever it's called. The seniors and the juniors were a little older. My thing is like each individual guy is still youthful in their experiences in what we're doing here. It's not like we brought in CJ, Denver, Keyshawn as like lead handlers that have done it. You know what I mean? So this is great that they're doing it. And my deal is like, how do we continue to positively affect that so that we get wins over losses, obviously results-wise. But if our process is correct, we feel our plan's pretty good.
Let me give you another stat. You guys are now 7-1 when the team hits 10 or more three-pointers in a game. So, how encouraging is it knowing that the three-point shot's really working well for you guys this season?
I think it probably goes into our spurt ability, but my thing is like when we're after miss offense, we really need to continue to understand what we're after, what we're doing. I felt good about our process when we were down 25-20. It was a little bothersome because we weren't making, but to me, that's how that jump happened. I think we had a 10-0 run, maybe 15-0 run at that point. Like to me, that was because the process was there. The plan was in place. Were we just missing? Maybe. But the other part is like, I'd like to pierce the paint a little bit more to get those threes. We were more perimeter-based. And, again, we got to keep feeling it, keep understanding it. And I just think our confidence and our big belief in our guys is there.
But the adjustment to the lineup, how did you anticipate it potentially affecting Lamin's role? And how would you speak to his performance tonight to kind of be able to fit it in between CJ and Toby?
Yeah, I think Lamin at that point, he kind of shifts to like the non-center role, which we like him as. I just got to figure out how to quantify. I got to figure out how to use him a little more and have him in more situations that he's comfortable in. He's been so comfortable as a handler this year for us, and that's where we could maybe up his usage a little bit more in that particular lineup. But then when he comes back in, I gotta dictate a little more on offense where we need to see his instincts and his benefits of being a great offensive player really help the whole group, and that's something I got to deal with and really look into, reflect on, and see how I can prepare him better.
Keyshawn made some tough shots down the stretch. He looks almost like when he was back in Northern Illinois making tough shots over and over again for the Huskies back then. Is he more confident now? Is he seeing himself more back to the score that he was back then?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he'll say it, so I'll probably say it. Like, he's really fallen in love with the work. We talked to him a lot about this in his first year of pro basketball when we were recruiting him, and I think my job was to put that on paper for him, routine-wise, film. How much film is he watching? Is he really executing in an elite scorer mentality? And I think he knows, there's a couple. Vermont happened as well. We have a couple different sets now that we can go to him and feel good about his spacing and his timing. And I think we saw it tonight. Like, yeah, that's what I mean. I don't develop all players to shoot mid-range twos, but he's one of them where when he's in his rhythm and his spots mentality, and he's in that hunter's role, I feel pretty confident about where we're at. I think the team feels pretty confident about it too.
What's your philosophy in terms of fouling or not fouling up three late?
Yeah.
Situation.
I mean, the foul early was the kind of hopefully take away their set because we had one to give. I don't get too, I get anxious about preparing for games. I'm not too anxious in the games because our preparation's so good. So for us, it was about like, can we do it correctly without the continuation rule? We haven't seen it a ton. I think teams are found a little bit less this year because of the continuation rule. How much are we good on the defensive glass? And kind of like, who are we fouling? So we go through that a lot. It's on one of my yellow pieces of paper is like all of our, in a sense, like we decided in the summer what we're looking for, and fouling up 3 is the one that has kind of the most columns to the right because it's like if this, you know what I mean? It's like yes, no, yes, no. So for me, I liked how we took away the set, and then your understanding of what you're giving up at that point. I think we were okay not doing it at the end. We kind of felt we were comfortable where they were going and how we could defend it. A different world if something different happened where the situation of the game changed lineup wise, or even if we subbed, that might have been a time to do it. But I would say we're not an absolute on that, primarily because of our opponent.
What words of wisdom did you give them before the game to help encourage them?
Not a lot. I think before the game, it's more just like where are we, who are we trying to be, and understanding. It's a very you guys will hear me say this a lot. Is Christmas helped me a lot, and then post Christmas, obviously not the Mount game, but then all those days off really helped me a lot with where I'm at as a head coach as well. So you'll hear me a lot talk about a singular mentality, and that's what we really focused on for this week. Is everything is very singular. Beating Siena legit means nothing tomorrow when we wake up, and whatever the Marist game looks like, whatever happens on that Sunday, Monday we'll reflect on film, but once that film of reflection for the weekend is over, that doesn't matter, and Mount St. Mary's losing on that Monday night, we think we lost in a way that we felt we could improve, so it wasn't like oh man, we just don't have it. So to me, it was like same deal. Not that we're like flushing losses away, but the whole deal of like you got to have that mentality in this league of what's next, what's right in front of you. So you're present for those 40 minutes, and then you understand recovery, prep, get our details right. You got 40 minutes to execute.